Today I'll share with you the pros and cons of living in Chomedey, Laval. Chomedey is considered by a lot of people as the king of all neighborhoods in Laval. And why is that? It's because this is where you'll find the most amount of action, the most amount of people. In fact, it's the most populous neighborhood of Laval. Its population has surpassed 113,000 people just lately. And generally speaking, is a nice place to live, really perfectly located. My name is Gabriel Laflamme. I've been a realtor since 2009, and I'm really privileged because every day I get calls and emails from people just like you that are contacting me and my team for us to guide you from A to Z in your project of buying or selling a property in the Greater Montreal area. If this is your case, send us an email. So we'll start with the cons. Noises. There's a lot of people in Chomedey, so there's a lot of cars, a lot of people. The cars, you'll hear some people. There's like the side effect of living in one of the most vibrant neighborhoods in Laval is having to deal with some noise. And if you live on the boulevard, well, of course, boulevard, there's more people on the boulevard than on a quiet street. For instance, if you live in the boulevard Clérou in Chomedey, you'll say, whoa, I see a lot of cars from my house, but you know, that's part of the deal. You got older properties. In Chomedey, the neighborhood was founded a couple of decades back. You have houses in the 1940s and 50s. When you look closer to the Pont La Chapelle, on the southern part of Chomedey, close to the Pont La Chapelle, you have a lot of older properties. Same thing for some parts of Domaine Renault, close to the Centre Laval in the 1960s. And if you look towards the southern part on the western part, like close to Highway 13, southwest in other words, there's again properties built in the 1950s, 60s. So properties need a lot of renovation and the price is still high because Chomedey is a pricey neighborhood. So you'll buy an older properties, but the price will still be high, just like some other parts of Montreal. The best areas are really expensive. In Chomedey, you got a wide variety of price ranges, but the best areas, for instance, Le Bergerac, just north of 440, it's a high-end neighborhood. Le Carrefour Saint-Martin, you know, houses in the 80s, 90s, 2000 are, you know, the average price is higher than the rest of Laval and the rest of Chomedey. It's really nice to live there, of course. The prices are really expensive. So the nicer the neighborhood, the higher the price. Makes sense, but you know, that's how it is. Curé-Labelle is not a appealing boulevard. It's one of the main boulevards in Curé-Labelle. In some parts of Curé-Labelle, you're like, well, I don't know. It lacks this appealing look, especially when you drive on Curé-Labelle going south, you know, close to Sanson, for instance. You'll say, well, it could use a refresh. Lastly, police. My massage therapist, Brendan, he's been living his entire life in Chomedey, and he told me, and I saw in the news, that in some parts of Chomedey, he's seeing police officers more than he used to like 10 years ago. And when I look at the news, when I look on Instagram and Facebook, some news, I see Chomedey police officers showing up in Chomedey. Not everywhere in Chomedey, but some parts of Chomedey more than it used to. But Laval is safe. It's a safe city. It's just that in some parts of Chomedey, you'll hear the police coming more than you might wish, unfortunately. Now the pros, location is perfect. You're in the core of Laval, center of Laval, between Highway 13 and 14. On the north side, it's just above Highway 440. And on the south side, there's the river, the Prairie River. So what I like about Chomedey, if I want to be close to Highway 13, well, I could buy a place close to Highway 13. But on the other hand, if I work in the western part of Laval or western part of Montreal, I would buy close to Highway 13. Since it's so perfectly located in Laval, close to the main highways and close to Highway 440, if you need to go from east to west, west to east, you'll find a neighborhood that's going to match where you work and where your kids go to school. Schools, you got French and English schools, so everybody will be happy. Elementary and high school. So then, once you finish high school, you can decide, you want to go to English University like I did at Concordia, or do you want to go to French University? It's up to you, but at least you got elementary and high school, both in French and English. The cultural diversity. What I mean by that is when you walk in Chomedey, it's as if you're at the Olympics. I went to Concordia University. It was like people from all around the world. And it's the same thing for Chomedey. And it's really interesting because you got restaurants from different culture, different background. You speak to people with different accents. You got a great Greek community. Everybody knows about that because since I was a little kid, a lot of Greeks lived in Chomedey, and it's a nice energy. They have great energy, and you got a nice Armenian community. You got people from Africa, from all parts of Europe, speaking French, English, all kinds of languages. Since I went to Concordia, I liked it a lot to be exposed to different cultures. Chomedey is the same. Really great. In terms of the entertainment now, you got restaurants, you got bars, you got a movie theater, you got some festival, you got everything you want. All the action is mostly in Chomedey. There's action outside of Chomedey, but Chomedey is where you'll have the Centropolis, as I previously mentioned in all my other videos. So you got different alternatives, like 5-10 minutes distance away by car and maybe 15 minutes by public transportation to access all those different entertainment alternatives. Lastly, you got a wide array of properties. If you want to buy a condo like in Miami, you got high-end condo. You want to buy another condo close to Centropolis, oh, you got different alternatives for you. You want to buy a 70-detached house, a bungalow, a 2-story level house, a cottage, a high-end, a smaller house. You got all those sorts of different properties at different price. Generally speaking, the average price is higher in Chomedey, but still, you got different options for different budgets. You'll like that. So this is it, guys, for the pros and cons of living in Chomedey, Laval. Chomedey being the king of all neighborhoods in Laval, some people might say. If you like that kind of video, stick around because I've got more coming up. And if you got a project of buying or selling property in Laval or all the different surrounding areas of the greater Montreal area and even some other parts of Quebec, my team and I were there to help. Shoot us an email, call us. We'll guide you from A to Z so that your transition is as smooth as possible.